State transportation leaders made a trip to Franklin County today to see for themselves what many in the community are concerned about when it comes to infrastructure.
Western Mass News reporter Matt Price has the story from Greenfield.
An important talk held on Monday at the John Olver Transit Center in Greenfield. Discussions about the challenges of rural transportation and maintenance of infrastructure in Franklin County.
And there really isn't enough transportation maintenance funding from the state for our towns to adequately maintain those roads. The roads are not eligible for federal funds because they're very local roads.
Massachusetts Secretary of Transportation Monica Tibbetts-Nutt among those listening and learning about the needs. For instance, 26% of the roads are gravel, and there can be maintenance challenges for unpaved roads, such as mudslides. Tibbetts-Nutt says the gravel roads are a concern and must be made more sustainable.
And the way climate change has really impacted those, especially around the amount of rainfall, that is something we are dealing with throughout the Commonwealth. Out here, very specific needs, especially with the elevation that they're at and how close they are to very, very big drops.
The entire group, including state legislators and our Western Mass News crew, traveled around the Greenfield and neighboring areas. You can see in this cell phone video Green River Road in Coleraine, which local officials say needs a long-term solution. As for Van Nuys Road in Shelburne, you can see safety cones marking the deteriorating pavement. Linda Dunleavy is executive director of Franklin County Regional Council of Governments. She tells us it costs an average $340,000 to repave 1 mile of roadway and wants to try to avoid Chapter 90 municipal funding that is received by Franklin County towns.
We don't want to pave them necessarily because if they are functioning well, if they're reconstructed and maintained, they're cheaper to maintain than paved roads, and we don't get enough money to pave all the roads. So what we're really looking for is a new program to address dirt and gravel road maintenance.
Secretary Tibbetts-Nutt says the governor's administration is proposing reform around Chapter 90 to better serve the rural communities so they are not punished for a lack of population.
Those funds go towards everything around roadways, street infrastructures. That really is that pot of money that these municipalities count on every single year to do these projects that otherwise they would not be able to afford. And it also leads technical assistance, which a lot of these communities also need.
The hope is to have some of these road projects in the final fiscal budget, which Secretary Tibbetts-Nutt hopes to have passed in June. In Greenfield, Matt Price, Western Mass News.
There was also the discussion of having part of an east-west passenger rail in the area. The pitch was to have Northern Tier Rail connecting Boston, Greenfield, and North Adams as a way to increase economic development in the county and stem projected population loss.